stranger. But one of the things that I'm wealthy in is in relationships. So it's not, I haven't had to interview a stranger yet. So, hey, let's begin with that. But let me give you a little preamble first. This is for a class project, not intended for public consumption. You're helping me out. I'm learning how to become a qualitative interviewer. I picked a subject that's dear to my heart so that it's not boring, but it's a skill that I need. If I take this to the next level, I'll have to get a IRB, which is an institutional review board from the university, and I would have to notify you of that. So let's begin. What technology do you enjoy using?
Well, I like using my iPhone. I also like using the iPad. They're convenient, easy to use.
Great. iPhone and iPad. That almost bleeds into the next question. What technology is being utilized by your ministry?
Well, the Deacon Ministry uses the Google, and I believe it's Google in order to contact everybody, and the email system.
Yes.
Which is convenient. So anytime you have a blast or some information you need to get out to everybody, it's easy to use. You just put NS Deacons, and it pops up, and you can type in the information you'd like to get out, or you can even forward information that you have that's necessary, that you need.
Great. What problems does technology solve?
I think it solves a communication problem. When you use a telephone, you have to call everybody up. Oftentimes before, when we were using email, you had to go down the email list and there were complications. Somebody's email will bounce back one way or the other. But this way, if everybody has the proper information, you simply bring up the name of the board that you want, or for example, NS Deacons, and you instantly communicate. Also, I like the email system and our telephone system now. You just start typing the first part of a person's name, it pops up the rest of the information. It's easy and convenient. And even if you can't remember the person's last name, sometime that first name will give you a list of names that you can utilize in order to make your contact. Refresh your memory even.
Yes. I'm impressed you know that email address. What problems does technology create?
Well, I was watching something on TV just the other day, and it's very true. I think it was on 60 Minutes, where they were talking about how technology really has us tethered down, and they use techniques now in order to almost bait us into using the technology. It's kind of what they do is, for example, if you're using Twitter, they release information saying that you're being followed by this many people at certain times. Maybe people estimate the times that it's best to get that sort of thing. I got to do my work. Okay. You might want to go in the other room.
Okay. I'm going to need to pause this for a second, okay?
Okay.
All right. Back onto the recorder. Now, you were telling me how technology has created problems. They're kind of baiting you into using technology. You mentioned something about Twitter. Tell me that again.
On Twitter, I guess you get likes and different things like that. Twitter and Facebook, and they have designed it. They've done a logarithm or that basically tells when's the most effective time to release those likes. For example, you might get a blast of likes all at one time when you're on there, even though a person may have sent the information earlier in the day, and that's all designed to basically keep you coming back. You know, because it enhances your feeling, I guess, of self-worth, maybe. It's almost an addiction. It's like a drug where you keep getting that feeling, you keep getting that fix, and they've designed it that way. And the person that was on 60 Minutes talked about that, and he was one of the people that came up and said, this is a problem. Anytime they have so much information that they can start doing these things, they can start controlling your likes, dislikes, and they affect your personal psychology.
That's true. That's true. My next question is, how has technology made your work easier or more difficult as a deacon?
You know, as a deacon, it's made it easier because anytime I need to know something, I can go back, I can review the information, I can, for example, the list for baptism, I could send that over to, say, one of my apps, and it'll hold that information in it. A notebook, notes, I can send it over there, for example, and it'll tell me, it will remind me as to the information is there. I can go to it immediately. I can also access my calendar using that information. So I can put in baptisms, I can put in when we're doing security for the pastor. It's just made things much easier. I don't have to call somebody to say, hey, what about this? It's already on my phone. Or I can even, if I know who sent the email out, I can go back to NS Deacons and research the information. I can look over my old emails to bring information up.
So,
if I have to get someplace, I use Google Maps. All I have to do is talk into the phone and say 4271 Taylor Avenue, and it'll instantly pop up the directions to that location. So it's made things much easier. It even tells me how much time between. And as you know, Hill has also incorporated maps into our communion list. So you can tap on the person's name, you can bring up the information in order to do the delivery. You don't have to go to Google Maps.
yes, that's very good. Intentionally, I'm being quiet.
I understand.
Okay, yes, I am listening to you. And I don't want to influence your responses, although I'm bubbling inside and wanting to respond. So, it's made your work easier. You didn't mention anything difficult. So technology hasn't made anything difficult for you in your work as a deacon.
Well, not my work as a deacon. Sometime accessing that particular thing in technology, I may need to ask someone questions how to do it. But once I understand it, it comes easy. And you're part to blame for that. And a great example is communicating with you. We were talking in the parking lot one day, and you were telling me how you used email in order to communicate with youth because they don't use their phone quite often.
Oh, I was texting them. That was text.
Yeah.
Yes.
Text rather. Yes. Text, and you can review those texts to review your previous conversations. You know.
Yes.
So it's a great resource.
It is. What technology could be better utilized in your ministry work?
I think the technology that we have could be better utilized if everybody was brought up to date on what we have. If we had a training session for people, like you had mentioned, Deacon Woodford, that might enhance his use of technology and other deacons.
Right.
Because quite often they rely on other deacons to input information that they can do themselves.
I'm also keeping notes. That's a good point. Too much reliance on other deacons to provide information. that they can access themselves.
But it's not a problem. You're welcome. You're always looking to be helpful. But if they know how to do it,
Right.
they could.
I would help too, but
Yeah.
your point was very good that access is available, training is needed, coaching is needed, support is needed. To grow people toward independence of accessing information that's there for them so that they can do their work.
Very true.
You know,
Yes.
so you and
Exactly.
I could be having coffee and just chit-chatting about family and life instead of saying,
Exactly.
about how to access the communion list. I got that, yeah.
And the funny thing about it is, I actually had access to this app previously on my computer because maybe 2 years ago, my sister had tapped me into it. She said her family uses it. All her daughters, her son gets on there at the same time, and they conference chat. And she had showed me how to do it years ago, and I said, okay. But because I had the iPhone, I didn't need it. People with other iPhones, we could just use the iPhone app and talk.
The first time.
FaceTime.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right. Both of the technologies do the same thing, and that's interesting.
But Google allows you to go across technologies. If you don't have an iPhone, you could use a Google phone, or you could use another phone.
Exactly.
An Android phone.
Yes. You've answered this. You've answered.
Proprietary. Go ahead.
Yes, you've answered this one already, but I just want to say it. How do you use email to communicate? And you have the Google NS Deacon's email.
Yes.
I also asked this. You've already answered it. How do you use your mobile phone in your deacon work? You've answered that sufficiently. Do you use any software applications to perform your duties?
Software applications, for example.
Well, actually, Google Maps is an application. People don't realize it, but it is.
Exactly. Okay. Yes, I use Google Maps. I just use Google for general information. So I use games on there, play chess on it. I use it to pacify my grandchild from time to time. With the games that are on there, we were using the phone last night. As a matter of fact, we had a family gathering, and he wanted to play Simon Says. Simon, which is a game a memory game.
Great. Is there anything else we need to know about your access to technology? Sounds comprehensive to me.
Well, I think that it was through the other deacons that kind of whet my taste for technology. I would see you with your iPad and everybody with the iPhones, and I started with the initial iPhone, and now I'm up to iPhone 6. I'm always a step behind, but I'm trying to keep up as time goes. I also have the iPad, which I enjoy, and I read books talk about software. I read books on there. I have my Bible on my phone, on my iPad. So that's pretty much it.
That's great. And that's interesting that your observations of other deacons inspired you to become technologically competent or to engage technology a little bit more deeper. Yeah. We're almost done.
Okay.
What's your preferred mode to be contacted? Is it email, phone, regarding deacon responsibilities?
Actually, it's become text, because it seems as though text is pretty direct. Rather than, and to be honest, I get so much junk email now that I prefer text because only those people, for the most of the time, that know me contact me through text.
It's a very good point.